regret. What you see is what you get. He eats T-bone steaks. He lifts barbell plates. He's sweeter than a German chocolate cake. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get loud once again for the Iron Comic, Mr. Pete Sakaris!
How we doing?
Great.
Thanks for coming out and supporting. I guess you could call this art. So, you probably saw the intro. So you probably know what the response is to this question, because you were asked like 10 questions before by a military Green Beret clad gentleman. So are you guys ready to laugh? That's not the proper response. Are you guys ready to laugh? Bullshit, I can't hear you. Sound off like you got up here. Are you guys ready to laugh? The world will soon celebrate Cerebral Palsy Awareness Day. And I have cerebral palsy, so I'm very aware of it. It's a brain disorder that affects the muscles. It affects my hand gestures. Like, I can't tell someone peace without looking all alien-like. And I can't flip someone off while it look like I'm gonna stab them. It affected me socially too. Like, there were cool nicknames on the playground like Big Bad Tony or Knuckles. Mine was Helmet Boy. But on the plus side, having cerebral palsy means that I never get offended when someone says, "Hey, what are you getting all bent out of shape for?" I'm like, "Oh, no reason, I was just born that way." I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, but this one time, my friends made me take a shot of an unholy concoction known as Rumplements, and it was disgusting. It tasted like Altoids and fascism. And even if I did drink, I don't know that much about it, because the only draft I've ever experienced is over. Glad some of us can sympathize with that. But another comedian was like, "Dude, you should smoke weed." And he followed it up with, "It would cure your cerebral palsy." The joke almost writes itself because there is no cure. And another comedian was like, "You should try Adderall and Molly." And I was like, "Well, my ADD is pretty out of control, but I'm always up to meeting girls." And I've never done drugs, so the only tripping I do is over my own feet. Glad you're with me on that. You ever get reminders from the universe of where you're at in life, whether you want to or not? Current events not excluded. Like, I was in the frozen pizza recently. I picked one out and it said right on the box, and I'm not making this up, "I'm single." And I looked right at it and I went, "Me too, pizza. Me too." But I am single. That's about the reaction that deserves. But a lot of factors went into my last breakup, but one of them had to be my OCD. Because she'd be like, "Baby, when we finally do have sex, you're gonna be amazing. We're gonna do it like 7 times. And I was like, "That's an odd number." But, you know, and I'm trying to get back into the dating thing, right? And I think it's what you like, not what you are like. Like, I've worked in offices for most of my life, so I guess you could say I'm a real freak in the spreadsheets. Like, a pivot table with a complicated formula. But no matter what, I always excel in bed. And I'm a nerd, and I think that got in the way of my last relationship too, because at the end of every night, for 3.5 years almost, she would message me and she'd be like, "Have a good night, baby, I love you, mwah." And because I'm such a nerd, I was like, "Have that shit on lockdown, I do." But I'm a Star Trek Trek nerd, and I'm trying to get into the dating thing through that realm. And any serious Star Trek fan will tell you that the neutral zone is way worse than the friend zone. With the friend zone, you have to deal with the devastation of rejection, and with the neutral zone, you have to deal with Romulans, and they don't take shit from anybody. I need to get away. I went to a community college, so I guess you could say I reached for the sky's limit. Our mascot was the Reavers, and it was a type of pirate that got drunk, partied, and caused trouble everywhere they went. And I was like, well, we're in college, so that makes a lot of sense. The college is in Council Bluffs, so that makes even more sense. And they sure did drink a lot of PBR. That was a stupid one. I'm glad you guys realized that. And I had this thought recently, and I have a lot of random thoughts. If someone says you have no ass, is that just another way of saying you have a gaunt? Thank you for that round of indifference. Everyone together now? Who gives a shit? As our host mentioned, I am also involved with the local wrestling scene, some of it right around town, you know, in the local Lucha Libre community. Even though my Spanish is high school level, I still managed to do a good job. And a lot of these independent wrestling shows are a lot like independent comedy. Like, you know you're doing a show in a small town when the bar across the street from the venue has a one-legged, one-man band doing AC/DC covers. I'm a little disappointed he wasn't called Thunder Stump, but what are you gonna do? I also performed in Sioux City, Iowa. Not a great-looking group of folks. I mean, they were shooting guns, spitting tobacco, hitting their kids, and the men were even worse. And the next night, I performed in O'Neill, Nebraska, and the small town aspect didn't hit me until two ladies walked in to help out with the show, and they were like, we're with the Chamber of Commerce or the Department of Tourism, depending on what day of the week it was. And I'm still reeling off the adrenaline of performing in the middle of the woods by a river in Davenport, Iowa. The name of the show, ironically, was Deliverance. And sometimes you hear a lot more so in the 90s compared to now about backyard wrestling, and that's how you get discovered. Like, you can go from jumping off your mom's roof onto her prized petunias to getting signed by WWE in 10 years, but it's kind of fallen off since then. But there was a backyard wrestling group that rented out a ring in a venue in the small town of Oskaloosa, Iowa. I was the ring announcer that night, and to be fair, the only professional thing about that show, because these were backyarders and I was the actual professional ring announcer. Good kids, don't get me wrong, good kids. One of them walks up to me and goes, just announce me as Marcus. No nickname, no character, no, just Marcus. And I was like, okay, got it. And he comes up to me about, an hour later, just announce me as Marcus, okay? I'm Marcus, just announce me as Marcus. I'm like, dude, I got it. After about the fourth or fifth time, he was like, announce me as Marcus. And I was like, dude, it doesn't matter. This isn't a real wrestling show. This isn't a real show. This isn't, I don't think I would classify this as a thing. But I'm standing there in the center of the ring, some obscure screamo death metal hits. Out comes Marcus, looking like he just robbed a Hot Topic. But big ups to the town of Oskaloosa. There's a lot of things to do there besides watch wrestling and meth. And kind of appropriate for the venue. But like, when you're a fan of something, you force yourself to like it no matter what you find out about it. Like, through Wikipedia, I found out that Fanta was originated in Nazi Germany because they couldn't get Coca-Cola across the border due to a blockade. And I was like, oh, man, that's a bummer. But I still like the pineapple flavor. Like, it doesn't resonate with everybody, I get it. But like, that's the point. When you're a fan of something, you force yourself to like it. Not to bring the mood down, but I had a gun pointed at me recently. I was walking to the bus stop, and this guy jumps out of the bushes and points this thing at me. My life flashes before my eyes. I see how it's all going to end. And all of a sudden, a rubber ball hits me in the face, and 3 rubber darts hit me in the chest. The absolute nerve of some people. Glad I had that recoil. There's no stool. It's supposed to be a stand-up performance. There's supposed to be a stool and a black wall, but it's just a room full of vaudeville maniacs, and that's the way we like it, right?
Sir, yes, sir.
I was chatting with a support agent for something for work, and I could tell it was outsourced because the agent was like, you might allow me to research this issue for you. You might want to grab coffee or a snack while I'm doing this. And I was like, oh no, they didn't suggest a Snickers. I think shit's about to get real. And it did. One of my favorite things to do is, no matter what Chinese fortune you get, just add in bed to the end of it. I promise it works every time. Like I got one last week that said, politeness costs nothing but gains everything in bed. And I can picture it now. Pardon me, madame, may I have this fuck? I'm telling you, it works every time. You gotta put yourself I like how naive my mom can be in terms of what the kids are saying nowadays. Like, she's not saying she's crashing out or that things are mid or anything like that. But she's a 77-year-old Polish woman from Brooklyn, so she's never going to get to that point. But she dropped me off one night and she was like, hey, what's on your bucket list for tonight? And I looked at her and I was like, living through the night, Mom. I'll let you guys in on a little secret. Everybody was telling me to do something. They were like, you should do this. It feels really good when you do it. It feels even better if you do it by yourself. And it feels even better than that if you do it without any help. So one night, I'm bored, and I decide you only live once, right? About an hour and a half later, I'm laying on my living room floor, half naked, covered in sweat. I did this thing. I did it by myself. It felt really good. I did it without any help, so it felt even better. And I realized my taxes turned out fantastic. Halloween's right around the corner, and with Halloween comes the candy, especially those candy corn pumpkins, and they're good, but when I was in high school, the kids didn't eat them. They used them as projectile weapons against each other. And this was around the time where those weren't the kind of weapons you had to worry about in school. And like, it got intense to the point where it was costume day, and my friend came as a pirate, and I was like, that's a really intricate eye patch. And he was like, it's not part of the costume, punch. So I learned my lesson that day. I worked in a call center for 12 years and still managed to maintain my sanity. And I found out pretty quick that you know you've worked in a call center for way too long when someone hugs you and the first thing out of your mouth is, thank you for holding me. It came in handy whenever I got into an argument because someone would be yelling at me, cussing up a storm, and I'd be like, I'm sorry, I didn't catch that, please try again. And it was a stressful job, but I was really good at it. So good, in fact, that a caller told me I did such a good job I should get these things in this order. $500, chocolate chip cookies, and a dancing girl for 1 hour. And I was like, well, I've never experienced that last thing, but those first two are pretty cool. And I knew I was in trouble when I had a girl in bed with me, and that's not the joke. Now, let's not kid ourselves. I'm fully vaxxed, sharp as a tack, and tasty like a snack. But out of nowhere, I just panicked and went, before we continue, I must advise you that for quality purposes, this sex may be monitored or recorded. Tying it all back together, I'll end on this. You guys have been great, by the way. It's good to be back after 2 years. Appreciate the venue for helping us out. Appreciate all the efforts. Even though I started watching wrestling in 1993, I feel like I've been a fan my whole life. And I realized that some of my favorite wrestlers could never be anything else. And by the way, when Hulk Hogan died, it was like losing a brother. But like, what if Macho Man Randy Savage hang up the sunglasses and the robe and the trunks and the boots and became, I don't know, a marriage counselor? Like, I can picture the interview. He'd be like,
yeah, I've been thinking and you seem like wonderful, interesting people, but I gotta tell you, freak out. I think your issue is honesty, and infidelity can drop a flying elbow and even the happiest of marriages. But let me tell you something, cause I've been around like the solar system, and I gotta tell you, if she is honest with you, and you were honest with her, you will be the world heavyweight champions of your ring, and I'm not talking about the one on her finger, cause all that will remain is the love. Ooh, yeah!
All right, that one's a little loud. Give it up for Pete Sakaris! Yes.
Hey, you know what? Listen, we haven't checked on Lincoln in a while. Lincoln!
Lincoln, Mr. President,
Yes,
how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I think it's time.
You think it's time?
Terry?
What's that?
It's time, Terry.
I'm not